Courtney Runyon. This is an edition of the Pulling Each Other Along show, I guess. And my name is Doug Cornfield. My granddaughter, Shay, she wanted to visit today, and she wanted to meet this lovely lady on the screen next to me, Courtney Runyon, coming in all the way from Mexico. And I'm going to turn down our music a little bit, our free hip-hop music that we get to use through this platform, Restream. And without further ado, the co-author of Pulling Each Other Along, he finally made it, Todds Background. Say hi, Todd.
How are you? I'm sitting in a warehouse of packaging goods. So Courtney's background and your background are way nicer than mine.
This is actually a painted wall in my bedroom behind me, believe it or not. The secret is out. So it looks like we got quite a few guests. Courtney, we're glad to have you. We're going to make you the focal point of this little shout out that we're doing. But we also want to inform people what's going on with the Pulling Each Other Along show and the book. And actually, Tom Damalukas just said it's not just a book, it's a movement, and it's so many more things. And so we greatly appreciate his enthusiasm for this project and Laura being a part of it. But Courtney, we are so glad that you became a part of this. Todd, I'm going to start with Todd just for a second, Courtney, before we get to you. Todd, give a little background of just quickly, if you can, of how all this started and what Pulling Each Other Along and what it's become and what it means to you.
Sure. I'd written numerous books on people with disabilities or people with differences, and over the past 10 years. And it's always been my vision to put together a compilation book of all the incredible stories that I've come across over the years. Courtney's being one of them. Courtney and I connected before the book ever became a reality. So I reached out to a few people that I know to try to put the compilation book together. One of the first people I reached out to was a guy I was connected with for years on LinkedIn, but had never met. And
yeah,
Doug Cornfield.
He's probably sorry about that now.
He could be. So Doug realized that 2 half a heads equal 1. So we put ours together and we came up with this project, which has now been 2 years in the making. It's called Pulling Each Other Along. And it's become 31 incredible stories by 31 chapter authors. And it's not just their story, it's their story told in a way that they're able to acknowledge the people or the things that have pulled them along to their level of relative greatness. So in the book, we have Dave Clark, and we have Courtney, and we have Dick and Rick Hoyt, and we have Zappos Adaptive, and Rocky Blyer, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The foreword's done by Terry Bradshaw. I'm not going to give all the names away because it's only a half-hour show, but the book has become a reality. And as Tom said, it's more than a book, it's a movement. It's a way to acknowledge the people in our lives who've helped us along the way. And that in a nutshell is Pulling Each Other Along.
Right. So I'm going to do one thing. It looks like Courtney's helped us get quite a bit of an audience today. And before I get to Courtney, we'll get to you eventually, Courtney, I promise. But because you have a crowd that probably isn't familiar with the Pulling Each Other Along story, I'm going to play a short video that is the inspirational story that is now becoming Pulling Each Other Along. It's only about a minute, but I hope these folks enjoy this. And this is my business partner, Dave Clark, and his story is the inspiration behind the Pulling Each Other Along movement.
When I came out of the reconstruction home in Ithaca, New York, I was wearing a little set of leg braces and walking with crutches. Once I started attending grade school, I was made to feel different. We had a field trip slated for first grade, and it was walking, maybe 5-6 blocks. I was deathly afraid of holding the class up. Our teacher had told us 2 weeks before this was going to happen, so for 13 straight days I've got anxiety and I'm getting nervous about this thing coming up. Day of the trip. One of my little first grade classmates, and I never forgot his name, Ernie Pound, pulled his little red flyer wagon up and he said, "Dave, jump in, I want to pull you." That changed that whole day for me, made it a fun trip, enjoyable, instead of the anxiety. It all washed away when Ernie brought his wagon up. 50 years later, I had a reunion with this guy. We were doing a book signing. Unknown to me, they had found him. And who's this to?
Ernie Pound.
You found him, I can't believe it.
Thank you very much.
Still gets me. Because 50 years later, that guy didn't know what he did for me. But he does now.
And there you have it. We did a children's book about that story about Dave Clark, and Dave's a polio survivor, and he is the only professional baseball player that ever went on to play baseball. And so his chapter in the book is actually called "Why We Pull." And then we started reaching out to people like Courtney. And so without further ado, I want to bring Courtney full-fledged into this conversation. Let me see if I can get in the middle here. And Courtney, how are you doing from Mexico? Thank you. The people that I know love Courtney and her story. But Courtney, give us a little idea of why you accepted us to help you become a part of the Pulling Each Other Along book.
Hi. Oh, well, because Todd was really sweet, but, you know, writing has been a huge part of my recovery and healing. And actually, when I was in the hospital and I had lost use from the neck down, I couldn't write. So I started writing with my nose. My dad built this thing to put my phone on a stand right in front of my face. And I would just like peck at it with my nose. And it would take a while because even I'd lost my voice. So that was cool. But I lost my voice, so I couldn't even talk to text because my phone didn't understand what I was saying. So I literally had to text every letter with my nose on my phone. Anyways, and from that, I there was not much else I could do in the hospital and nursing home, so I just would write. And then, I got asked to be involved with this, and because of the power and transformation that writing can have, you know, it was it sounded nice to my heart. I didn't know much about it though. I just said yes blindly, but since then it's, you know, I'm very proud to be a part of this project. I think when I said yes, I didn't realize the, you know, how many really, really cool overcomers were a part of it. So I'm since then a lot happy, or I'm a lot more proud even to be a part of it than before.
That's fun. I mean, yeah, we didn't know what it was going to be either. And in some ways, I don't know if it's gotten bigger because, you know, I mean, it's not like we know how big this could get. I mean, we have hopes and we feel like we've put together some incredible stories. I know Bonnie Mann was listening earlier. A lot of these are sports stories. One of the things kind of nice about your story, Courtney, is it's not really a sports story in a way, but it is, you know, because you're walking and you're putting athletic in back into your life. But a lot of the stories are overcomer stories, people with missing legs, people with polio, people with missing arms that are doing triathlons. Bonnie Mann, her story's an athletic story. She's listening in. She's if I can get it right this time, 3-time world champion boxer, just inducted in the International Hall of Fame. So we got all these people we put together. But really the point to me that I hope is that we're going to be able to encourage people to thank others and not wait till it's too late. Those special people that pulled us along. So it's not about just us telling these wonderful 31 stories. It's about encouraging people to share that with the people in their lives. And I don't know, have you done that at all, Courtney, since you started all this? Tell people about, you know, who's helped you and pulled you along?
I mean, I preach about my family a lot because I I proudly lived my life in the moment before having disability and illness and all these new things. I lived my life to the fullest, and part of that was, my family, as great as they are and were, out of sight, out of mind. I kind of left home and went traveling around the world and was like, see ya, Mom and Dad. I'll let you know I'm not dead from time to time. And so when I moved in with my family so they could take care of me, bathe me, feed me, dress me, take me to the bathroom, all those things. When I moved in, they were strangers. I was a stranger, not because they weren't amazing, I just wasn't around as much as they just told me, oh, we just hope you're happy. We love you. So when I got there, my family and really stepped up to put a pause on their life to make sure I was okay and make sure that I felt supported and loved and that I was still enough and still worthy of love and all those things. They did a really wonderful job.
Right. And your transition was well documented. It seems like you started sharing these things and got quite an audience for it. Why do you think that happened? Why do you think people were kind of intrigued in your story?
Because people need to know that it's possible to feel joy, happiness, positivity, and self-acceptance, even when you become disabled, even when you have an autistic kid, have a stroke, surgery that's gone wrong, you're getting older, you are going through a divorce, like whatever it is, we have these major life changes and these lives that we're forced to live that we didn't choose. And when we have that moment of understanding that our life can't be the same as it was before, there's a grieving process. There's a part of you that dies, and there's a part of you that's born. So like, it's not all loss. With every loss, there is gain attached to it. It's just sometimes we can't see it at the time. So I think being able to share that I had moments of bliss and happiness and joy and love, even being paralyzed from the neck down and, trouble breathing and unable to speak at times, I was able to authentically and genuinely show that if you make the decision to be happy no matter what, if you can be happy in any circumstance, then does the circumstance really matter?
Right. And that's being content is a hard thing. It's one of the things that we talk about in the book, in my chapter. Not that we have several chapters Todd and I put together, but the chapter that I'm most involved with is the first one with my business partner, Dave Clark. And we talk about there's a balance to all of this, because even in your situation, Courtney, if you were just hopping in the wagon and letting people pull you everywhere and you didn't help pull anybody else along, that's probably not a good balance. And so you've taken your situation and people help pull you along, but you in turn are also helping pull other people along. And I think that's where the beautiful balance in this message, in this movement, is that we want to pull others along, but also at times we got to hop in the wagon because we need the help. And but there's that wonderful balance of a chain of wagons being pulled along together. Todd, what do you have to add?
Oh, I have a lot to add because I've never met a microphone I didn't like.
Right, that's probably true.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to say this. The reason we selected Courtney to be in the book is because if there's ever been a case of a rose between two thorns, it would be what you're looking at right now.
Oh, I switched it.
I refer to this, what you're looking at on the screen, as Beauty and the Two Beasts.
That's pretty
because it's just, that's why I selected Courtney. No, reality is what I know of Courtney's story, and I'm sure this is the case with anybody who has overcome obstacles, but more than anybody I have ever met, what pulled Courtney along was her own incredible attitude. I've never, ever, ever, ever witnessed anybody who met life or met her tragedy so head on and turned it inside out and upside down. If people don't know Courtney's story, and I'll let her tell it rather than me, watch it on her pages or look at it on YouTube, because instead of licking her wounds and feeling sorry for herself, she was almost like Patch Adams in that she entertained the people on her hospital floor, and she dressed up in wigs, and she never stopped laughing, and she never stopped smiling. And so if there's a such thing as, well, there is pulling yourself along, Courtney, she would have accepted her fate had she remained paralyzed, but she would have accepted it with a smile. And that's different. I'll speak for me. That's different than I would have been able to do it. So that's my 2 cents. Incredible human being, and speaks about a lot of different topics that continue to help pull other people along.
Yes. So it's
Well, thank you.
yeah, so we were getting some nice comments. I think a lot of these people, do you know some of these folks, Courtney, that are making comments here?
I do. Hi, Paul.
So that's
And then I think I saw
Aisha.
Misty in there.
Yeah, and you have Kim. I don't know. It seems like some of these are coming from your fanfare. Which welcome to the Pulling Each Other Along show, or this special edition. This is the Kickstarter edition, and in this edition, we're just trying to begin to announce that the Pulling Each Other Along book, which Courtney's involved in, is just about ready to be released. We're going to a small print, but hoping for a much bigger print. And if you're interested to follow us, you can go to pullingeachotheralong.com. And right now, you can get a free forward by the legendary NFL Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw. And so you can go to the front page, click on a little link, and download the Pulling Each Other Along forward written by Terry Bradshaw. And of course, Courtney's story is in this book, and that's why she's here. And let's see here. I'm trying to get back so you can see. I brought my granddaughter in. She's helped pull people along. She loves being a part of her. Well, she calls me Popcorn since my last name is Cornfield. She calls me Popcorn, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to say hi to Courtney?
Hi.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Say hi to Todd too. Say hi to Todd. There you go. And say hi to all those people out there that are watching this edition of the Pulling Each Other Along show. And one of the things that we want to do, the folks that are out there, whether you're our people or Courtney's people, or whatever people, Todd's people, just the people of the world out there, is we do want to ask you to help pull us along. And with this Kickstarter, which we plan to go live on Tuesday or sometime next week, if you are seeing these things, you get a chance to pre-order a book, a t-shirt, a hat. We even started greeting cards, and we haven't shown these, but we have a greeting card. Courtney, are you familiar with this? So we have a greeting card. So that we've designed. There's the front cover of the greeting card, and you get to order some of these greeting cards and just thank the people that help pull you along. And I think this kind of card and this kind of message will be something that is super incredible to the people in your life that have helped pull you along. And so things like that will be available on this Kickstarter. And hopefully you want to get in, and then you'll be able to pre-order this book, signed copies of the book. If you want Courtney to sign it, there's a way to make that happen. If you're a Courtney fan, Todd and I will be signing most of the books as the co-authors. So anyway, is there any questions out there before I go back to Todd, are there any questions out there from people that would have a question about this or have a question for Courtney? And then go ahead, Todd, you're itching to say something.
Yeah, I was. To me, the Kickstarter and the book itself is exciting, but the book is a way to share these 31 stories. We all believe in power in numbers, and our goal is not to get rich off the book, though that would be really cool, so I didn't have to work in a warehouse. But the goal is really this. If let's say we on our Kickstarter campaign, we raise enough funds to print 10,000 books. That means Courtney's story gets out to 10,000 people, and Dick Hoyt's story gets out to 10,000 people. And the goal is, to me, it's kind of like throwing a pebble into a pond. You throw the pebble in the pond and it makes the ripple, and then the ripple goes boom, 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 and spreads all the way across the pond. If we can multiply 31 stories times 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, we really can change the world. And I know that's fantasy, like I know that's pie in the sky, but if anybody can do it, it's the 33 of us involved in the book. And that's why we asked for your help. Again, not to make me quit my warehouse job, but really so that we can have a positive impact on the world. And that's the goal of the book and the movement surrounding the book.
Right. And there's a lot of people that in the book, Courtney included, that are involved with a lot of great things. We have people that are teaching people that can't how to swim. Dave Clark and I and Dave Stevens, we have what's called Disability Dream-Induced Sports Camps, where we get up to 100 children and young adults with all different disabilities to interact on professional fields and sometimes with professional and collegiate players. And they get a day that just makes them feel alive and encourages them. And so that's one of the things that I do on a full-time basis. And so we have all these, Rocky Blyer, he's helping people with traumatic injuries from their war and their military times. And so all of these people have different things that are out there. And so we are also helping to feed fire to these wonderful things that are being done by the people involved in the book. And Courtney, you do have a question from one of our other chapter participants, Bonnie Mann, 3-time world champion boxer, now Hall of Fame boxer just recently. Courtney, she says, what is your next adventure, if you have one, or anything fun or special that is upcoming? Good question, Bonnie.
Well, adventure, I would say dating. I have,
That can be
I had a
fun.
boyfriend at the time. I got paralyzed. He was the love of my life at that time and couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the everything that happened. And dating with disabilities is something that will be an adventure that I've kind of played around with, but I think I have gotten myself in a position where I feel ready to do that. So that will be an adventure. And then something fun planned. I'm throwing a retreat in for positive psychology in February down in Guatemala.
Wow. And what's that retreat? Who can get involved with that, and how do they participate? All those good things.
Yeah, no, you can book it through my website, CourtneyRunyon.com, and it's February 6th through the 12th in San Marcos, La Laguna.
Wow, I've never been to Guatemala. That sounds fun.
It's
now,
nice.
As far as dating with disabilities, you might want to, give a little Zoom message with Dave Clark and Dave Stevens, at least from the male side of it, because they dated quite frequently in their single days with significant challenges and paralyzed and seemed to do quite well. But I'm sure there is a different mentality of, I don't know, what would come, and insecurities and all the different things that might take place in your new venture of stretching out. I'm sure there's several men right now that are looking at this thing. I'll sign up for that, and so you might get some messaging because of this pulling each other along show.
Oh.
So who knows? Well, good. And tell us what you're doing right now, Courtney. What's going on in your life right now beside those two things?
Just, I don't know. I'm in Mexico a lot. I'm in Texas a lot. Just, I guess, figuring out new hobbies that I can do when your hands don't really work. I've gotten into tarot cards. That's been cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a little different. So this is, who else? Peggy Sue. Do you know Peggy Sue?
I do.
That's a song. Don't sing it, Todd. That would not be good.
That ain't happening.
So I know one of the things that you shared with me after you were on our Pulling Each Other Along show, and if people want to see a full interview that we did with Courtney, probably 2-3 months ago already, Dave Clark was on that show with us, and And we had a lot of fun on that show. So it's on our website, thepullingeachotheral.com. You go to the podcast or radio show, and Courtney was a part of that. But she texted me after that saying that she'd done a lot of these things, but that was one of the most fun ones that she ever did. And so I took that as a compliment, but I think you made it easy for us to make it fun too. So that was a big help. Anyway.
Courtney, do you remember where you were the first time you and I spoke on the telephone?
Yeah, I was at this place called Flea Style in Frisco, Texas.
What were you doing?
Drinking a matcha green tea, I'm
No,
pretty sure.
this isn't true. That might have been the second time. I just want to remind you how you come full circle. You were at a gown or a tuxedo store because you were going to a wedding, and there was a possibility, I think, that you were going to see your ex-boyfriend there. And
I was going to a funeral.
Oh, same thing in my world. A wedding and a funeral are absolutely the same.
I think.
Yeah, but it was at a point that you were rebuilding your confidence, I'd say. You were hesitant to go, and now maybe a year or two later, you're dating. So that's really, as your Uncle Todd that I've become in my mind, that's really cool to see that you've gotten to a further step along the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe you were in a bar and telling me you were in a tuxedo store. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I like the bar story better.
Yeah. No.
I like the bar story better.
I'm 60, Courtney, so it's possible that my mind failed me. I may have been speaking to my mother or something, but
I don't know. But it is interesting how things come full circle like that.
Yeah. So is there another story? I know you haven't read the book yet, because really we've kept the book. I did do something here, whereas let's see if I pulled it in here. Did I do it right? I might not have, actually. That's your profile on the page, on the website, so you can read a little profile. No, it's like you have some great pictures, but I thought I did a little chapter, but I might not have downloaded it. But anyway, this is an image of pulling each other along. That's a part of our page. It's on our Kickstarter, and when we did the cover for the book, all the people involved in the cover, and we have female arms in there. My son Gideon, his hand is in there. My son Gideon was born with virtually no arms, and he has a small 3 fingers on one hand, and so his hand is in this picture. And Gavin, who we're doing a show with Gavin, who's also on the cover of the book. He's a chapter in the book, and he was a part of that photo shoot. And we put all these hands together, and I thought that the photographer really caught a great image with all of his grasping hands. And in the cover, if you haven't seen the cover of the book, there's in the picture of the cover, we're all grasping onto Dave Clark's scooter now, because he's a polio, he's gotten older, and we're all grasping onto him as he's kind of, his story's like the patriarchal or whatever. His story is the pinnacle story, and we're looking out in the ocean, and in that the ocean is kind of vast, and it just goes and goes and goes. And so we're all grabbing onto him as he's pulling us along, and we're helping him, and hopefully we can all help each other. So any last words that you'd like to share to everybody, all your fans out there, about what we're doing? And we do have an announcement. We're going to be on Monday, and I don't know, Courtney, if you can join us again Monday. It'd be shorter than this, but I can send you the link. We're having a whole bunch of the folks just come on for about 2 hours off and on, and I'll send you the link if you can do that on Monday. I know it's a little different time zone for you, so it could be a little hard, but I'll send you that link if you can join us. I know we were going to have Rocky Blyer, but then Rocky's going to go to the NFL Monday Night Football game to honor a veteran, so we're going to have Rocky on a little bit later. But Tim Walsh is going to be on with us, Bonnie Mann, Jay Lawrence, Amanda Clue, several of the different people will be talking with us for the kickoff to get ready for this next week's kickoff for the Kickstarter. We do, without begging, we ask you to help. even if it's just a small thing, you can help out with this Kickstarter coming up. Again, go to pullingeachotheralong.com, grab the forward, and in that you'll give us your email, and we'll tell you when the Kickstarter's to go, and if you can help us right away to get it kicked off. That's one way you can help pull us along to get this whole movement. It's more than just a book. It's a movement of kindness, human kindness, sharing stories of human kindness like Courtney's, and how all these tie together to help pull us along in our lives. Courtney, I don't know if you can join us Monday, but if you can, that'd be great. We'll do that real quick on a different time zone. Todd, we'll see you hopefully this week. And
I have one more thing to say.
Go ahead. You can say it. I'm going to put you on the hot seat again.
Yeah, that's all right. Two chapters we didn't mention, or 3 chapters, but to me they're really important chapters, just to throw the names out there. Zappos Adaptive has a chapter that's changing the whole world of fashion for the disabled. Runway of Dreams, who has a similar, or that kind of tied together, in which they kind of launched the adaptive fashion movement. And then Challenged Athletes Foundation, who is connected to many of the athletes in the book: Chris Nickick, Jamal Hill, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I was going to say is I read your book yesterday in a school, Doug. And first of all, the story about Dave and Ernie Pound made one of the teachers cry. Yeah, it was wonderful. It throughout my schooling career, I made many a teacher cry, but never because I told them a heartwarming story. But I had mentioned that when the kids pulled Dave to the fire station, he was no longer an outcast because everybody wanted to pull him. And a first grader said to me, was he an incast? And it made me realize that the word incast doesn't exist, but it's a great word that needs to exist. It's people who want to belong, people who do belong, as opposed to an outcast, which is a person who doesn't belong. So we're going to call Webster's Dictionary and have the word incast added to our vocabulary, because it's a great word.
I like it. And that's not the first teacher that has cried.
I'm sure not.
We actually had a funny story with Dave and I when we did an assembly before COVID. It was a pretty big one. It was a fairly large elementary schools, and there was like 6 assemblies that came in. And one of the schools, they were kids from that school, so they were there early. And I went down and I talked to them, and in talking with them, I just, I said, hey, what did you think about the book and A Pound of Kindness this is? And A Pound of Kindness is a children's book that's the inspiration toward this Pulling Each Other Along movement, if you're listening in. And so we're doing an assembly. Dave Clark is there. He's got an amazing story, connects with the kids so well. But I'm down here interacting with these like 3rd graders. And they start, and I asked them if they read the Pound of Kindness, and they go, yeah. He says, but our teacher couldn't finish it because she was crying so much. And so it was kind of funny to see that their reactions, and in a children's book, you say, oh, that's sad if they're crying, but these are tears these are good tears. These are tears that make you think. Think about it. This act that we're talking about with Ernie Pound bringing the wagon for Dave Clark happened in 1958. 1958, and today we're launching a book because of that one little act of kindness. And so to me, that's pretty amazing. And we do hope for your story, Courtney, to be enhanced and to get more people to know about it, in your story to be inspiring more people. We hope that people will go to their people and help tell them, hey, thank you for pulling me along, to be an encouragement. And then be mindful that, hey, let's pull each other along. Let's look for opportunities to pull each other along, and look for those opportunities when we need help, because sometimes we do need help, and we need to reach out to those people that can help us as well. Anything else, guys? Courtney Runyon, some people think you're an inspiration, so do we.
No, thank you for inviting me to be a part of the team, and I love and respect everyone that y'all have done a really good job.
Thank you, and thanks, and we look forward to more, and we'll see what happens. Again, looking forward to all your help. Share, post, pull people along, and we just covet your kindness in this beginning of this movement. Thank you, Courtney, for kicking this off, and we'll see you guys all again. I'm going to put this terrible bumper music back on. How's that? All right, as we say goodbye, everybody, take care, everyone. Please share the podcast, and we'll see y'all Sunday at 5 p.m. and Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.